needs...
They missed the target.
It needs to be straightened out.
Yeah.
This thing just feels like a crooked wandering across history.
Well, that's what here...
With references to these philosophers and these stupid isms and the rational mind. And there's no ability to actually comprehend in plain language what the hell is being talked about. So let's
okay. And then without further ado, the social contract makes us replaceable.
Yeah, we're going to do maybe the first 3.5 minutes.
Yep, bits and pieces of it here.
It kind of presupposes its own correctness, right? That this, oh no, we have to have rational answers. Why? We've got a perfectly good civilization. Look around us. This wasn't rationally constructed. We've got a wonderful civilization. It wasn't designed by anyone. It's not justified rationally by anyone, and yet it still works. And so it kind of, in my opinion, it kind of pushes back on the idea that actually rational justification is the only justification that's legitimate.
Okay, so you to end.
I just wanted to pause quick there. So actually, when I was first watching this video, the first bullet point I jot down right here on my notebook: rational justification is the only justification that's legitimate. And it's funny that even before we started this video, we went on little back and forth about how rational is the word rational in itself is subjective.
Yeah, it bothered me right off the bat too, and this is the problem. Rational is standalone as a word. People will use it in all sorts of different realms of conversation, and in this particular case, it's not. There's no rational justification. There's an objective, logically valid arrangement that if people do not comply with it, simply because it's objectively true, then they're deviating from what's productive. And that's a problem.
Yep.
It's not, there's no justification. There's things that work, and when you deviate from that, you create conflict. That's it. But it's impossible for people to wipe away this detailed stuff. And in a lot of cases, it's because they want to feel smarter. See, I feel like
feeling smart feels good.
I'm in a different place. I'm not smarter than anybody else. I just, when you make so many attempts to try and digest these approaches to talking about things and understanding them, and it never resolves into anything useful, you throw it out. It's like Edison's light bulb. I mean, if you want to believe that story, I think most people now agree that he probably just stole it. I mean, he didn't really do anything. But anyway, 1,000 tries at the light bulb. Well, the 1,001st time was the first vacuum-sealed, current-loaded filament that emitted visible light and lasted. I mean, he had hundreds of them that he could get to light up, but they would break.
They would all die right away.
If I go through this, if I trace all the way back to the arguments in the paperwork before the Constitution and follow the timeline to now, there really doesn't seem to be much of anything in any of it that maintains any justification for anything that's being done. So it has to be, to address this conversation, you have to throw that garbage out and start from scratch. And that's where somebody who did this magnificent work that was almost immediately thrown in the dustbin of history by the demonic overlords, because it just completely destroys their entire approach to handling the plebs in their conquest of the world. And if you don't understand why they're trying to rule the world, I don't know how to help you. But I mean,
it might be too late.
It has to be thrown out. And so this whole rational mind justifying this or that is just, it's nonsense. We have to start measuring things against an actual standard.
Yes.
And that's the objective, logically valid arrangement that comes from acknowledging that individuals make choices. And if you smush them into groups or split them into groups, or you make these illusions, or you call on these forces of history or human nature or whatever these spirit guides are that are going to determine how everything turns out, well, you're just going to end up being marionetted around by the people at the tops of those stupid pyramids that we keep building in pursuit of getting to the invisible hand of the economy, or the right tax increase to deliver the welfare. And all along, it's just a group of people, and there's some with power, and they build a wall between themselves and everybody else, and it's a one-way filter. Mm-hmm. All it does is just sucks the life out of everybody else, and then doesn't even tell them the truth about how badly they're doing it until there's so much debt that the whole thing implodes on itself. Or they do some kind of a reset and essentially treat the population like a military invasion. And that's exclusively the story of history.